Morning. It is the middle of July and we've got a temperature gauge which is saying it's 17 degrees. It's only 7:30 in the morning. However, when I left Sheffield, it was bright blue sunny skies. I've only driven 10 miles. I'm heading over towards FLEETS down at Barnsley, which is where today's open match is, and it's clouded over. I can't believe it. So whilst it's clouded over, I think, well, it is still warm. I think we're going to be targeting some fish up in the water today. It's all about carp today. This venue doesn't have any F1s in it. I won't be targeting silverfish. It's all about carp. My target is going to be 10 fish. I honestly believe that certainly the matches that I've fished here before, if you can get 10 fish, you stand a very, very, very good chance of winning it. So that's all it's going to be today. I'm going to be fishing with the method feeder. I'm going to be fishing with the bomb, and the one that I'm hoping to catch the most fish on, and I'm hoping the fish are going to respond to, is the pellet waggler. And that's because I love fishing it on this venue, and you generally have to work hard for your fish, and that's what I'm willing to do. So it's only 14 miles from where I live. I'm not far away now, but the first thing we've got to do is get some breakfast. Picked 55. Doesn't mean a lot to me right now till I get down there. I think I'm down, well I'm down this right hand bank, and I'd like to be where the bank's steeper behind you. I think it's better down there. I think you have a chance for a few fish in that. Well, that's the widest bit where it's a bit of a bowl there. So if it's where I think it is, I quite fancy it. The wind isn't bad here. When I left Sheffield, when I came out of Sheffield, it was really windy. But here, because the nature of the dam, it kind of goes round and round. And the only reason why I'm obviously thinking about that is because if I'm going to catch with a pellet waggler, I don't want the wind to be interfering, you know, with the tow and presentation and stuff. So I think down there it's going to be reasonably sheltered. So just going to have the 3 rods set up. And Martinidis, that I'm sure a lot of you will remember from some of my earlier live matches who I used to travel with to Barston and Larford. He's actually opposite me. He's on this match today. It's the first time I've seen him for a long time. He's bang opposite me. He's over on 29, which I know he fancies that area. I think he's drawn there a couple of times, and that is a consistent area. That's opposite us. So I'm going to get the gear down to the peg, get set up, and I'll show you the kit and the approach once I'm down on the platform. Well, the sun keeps trying to break through and the clouds keep coming over, so it's constantly changing the light today. I'm all set up now, got 30 minutes before the start. These steps are brilliant, really makes it easy getting up and down these steeper banks. It's really nice when you're down there as well. As you can see, that bit of a breeze that's coming, it's really left and in, but it is swirling round. That's what happens on this venue, you know, because the nature of the dam, it just goes round and round. So it's going to be constantly changing, and that's something that's important that you've got to think about, especially when you're fishing that loose fed pellet line, whether you're fishing a bomb over it or the waggler. Obviously it helps to try and be as accurate as you possibly can. As it turns out, I've ended up with just 2 rods set up. Really simple approach, but I have got a bit of flexibility within those 2 rods. Okay, so usual setup. I mean, I'm not going to go through everything. If anybody wants to know anything specific about the setup, just comment below and I'll do my best to help you. I don't want to bore everybody going over the same thing all the time. All this kit here that you see, there are links to this directly underneath the video if anyone's interested, learning more about the kit that I'm using. And if you want to know why I'm using it, then obviously I'll tell you. So I've got 3 nets in already. It's a 55-pound net limit here. Silver's going 1 net, and obviously, you know, 55-pound net limit, I won't go to 55-pound if I am catching. I'll go to 50-pound on air on the side of caution, and that's why I've got the 3rd net in. All right, the bait tray is mega simple. All right, so I've got some 8mm hard pellets, so they're what I'm going to be pinging out there. with the catapult, nice strong catapult, got a spare one ready as well. Going to be feeding them at about 20 meters, wherever I can do it accurately. I'm not going to go too far out if it's going to sacrifice accuracy. And then I've got micro pellets there, plenty of micro pellets for the method feeder, and then I like to have a small batch that I'm constantly working. All right, simple as that. I've got some wafters here, I've got some more in my bag that I'm going to be getting out soon, and that is it. Believe it or not, it's really that simple today. The two rods that I've got set up, I'll show you in a minute when I'm on the box, and that's it. I've got spare catapults ready. And I mean, as regards to the actual bait side of things, they're the pellets that I'm using. These are just the 2mm Fin Perfect ones, so they're fine for the method feeder. There are some sticky ones that you can get, but you know, these are good enough as they are. And then the pellets that I'm feeding, which are really nice and uniform in size, or the Pro Feed pellets, 8mm. All right, and I've got 3 bags. Well, I brought 3 bags with me. I always carry them with me. I mean, that's one bag. That's one bag that's in there, and that's a 3.3 pint tub. So there's about 3 pints in each bag, which means I've obviously got 9 pints with me. All right, just in case. There's nothing worse than running out of those when you're catching. And that is it. I'll show you the rigs and everything that I'm doing. And we've got about 25 minutes to the off now, so I'm just going to check my hook lengths, and I'll talk you through the setups. So it's just a 2-rod setup. You've got to have feeders that are free running on this fishery. All right, so this is obviously how I'm going to be starting. So I'm just starting with this is 26 gram, and that is a normal method feeder. As you can see, it's free running. And when I say normal, it's not the open style method feeder, you know, the one with the sides on it. It's not that one, although I have got 1 or 2 of those ready. It's just a normal one, and that's just because I think it works better on this venue. When I fished the method feeder on here before, the areas that I've fished, or the areas that I've decided to cast to, feel a little bit soft. They feel a little bit, you know, as though the feeder might sink into the bottom a little bit. I don't think it sinks in much. So for my confidence more than anything, that feeder is one that I prefer, just because it's got a big surface area, it's lighter, and I think it just sits on that soft bottom better. I have got some others ready, but that's just a personal thing, so that's my preference. All right, that's free running, and then I've got a 4-inch hook length, and that is it. That rod can also be changed over, because of the quick change system that's on that. I can switch over to the bomb, all right, an inline bomb, and that's what I will be trying on that loose fed pellet line. All right, so with this setup, which is an 11 foot rod, this is the 11 foot commercial feeder, a 3000 reel, 8 pound main line. It's just a really flexible rod, you know. I can fish with this method feeder from any range right the way out to the middle, which is 40 meters or so. But obviously I can switch that to a bomb and then use it as my bomb rod. I can change the hook length as well to a longer hook length, which is what we tend to use when we're fishing with a bomb as well. So just one setup like that that's really matched means I can do lots of different things with it. It means everything, you know, you set up everything is a lot more simple. And the other rod that I've got set up is the pellet waggler. Now this is an 11 foot pellet waggler. This is the Horizon Pro. 11 foot is going to cover everything that I need to cover. The longer the rod, the further out you can fish. But to be quite honest, these pellets I'm going to be feeding, these 8mm pellets, these can only be catapulted a certain range, and this 11 foot rod is going to reach that range. I'm going to kick off at that sort of depth. I don't even know what that is, but you can see what it is, and that's something I'm going to be constantly changing. All right, and I've got the quick change adapters on there, as you can see, the matrix ones, and I'm going to be kicking off with a 6 gram matrix pellet waggler. These are absolutely brilliant, you know, they're really, really light, and the good thing with these is, I mean, it says 6 gram on it, that is the total weight of the float. Some wagglers out there say 6 gram, and then that is plus the actual weight of the swivel and the actual float itself, not just the weight. That is the combined weight, and that is really buoyant, so it doesn't dive too deep. And I'm going to be able to see that really well. As you can probably tell in the background, the light isn't great out there, as you can see, especially when that sun's not out. So a nice big bright orange waggler like that is really easy to see as well. So that is it. I'll be constantly changing the depth with that, depending on the bites that I'm getting or not getting, and then I'll just vary the feed pattern like you always do when you're fishing with the waggler. So that's going to be trial and error, but that's the main line that I'll just be building up throughout the day. And like I say, it'll just be a case of swapping and changing and as always, just watching and listening to what's happening around you. I'm just going to kick off with the method feeder, and I'm going to start at about 30 meters, something like that, and then just start feeding those pellets and just have a nice steady start, see what's happening around me. Like I said, I'm fishing with a normal method feeder. Maybe, as you can see, all right, with the mold and everything. There we go, just for my confidence. I'll get that out there and just see what happens. That's about 30 meters. No need to tighten right up to it. I haven't seen any fish moving, to be honest, today. Not yet. As you can see with this light and everything, it's hard to spot cruising fish. And that's just a case of getting those 8mm pellets plopping in and just building up that swim. Well, that was a really quick pull. To be fair, I thought I'd missed it, but I've got about 4 turns on it, and it's a small fish. I don't know if it's a skimmer or whether it's a little stocky, but we've been fishing 15 minutes. I've just seen one carp hooked. That's the lad to my right, but unfortunately for him, he lost it at the net, and he hooked that on the method feeder, casting out to that aerator which is opposite him. I think this might be a little stocky, I think. Just on an 8mm wafter. Fantastic condition fish. About 2.5 pound, 2 pound. We're off the mark. That had been out there 6 minutes. I've had one other indication, the cast before that. It was just a really fast knock. I thought it was a small fish having a go at the bait, but I think it might have just been a fish passing through the swim really quickly. I left it to develop and it never picked up again, so, and I wasn't confident that the feeder it was still fishing properly, so I only left it another 30 seconds or so and then a recast. But that again was at just at that 30 metre mark. But I haven't seen any other fish caught. Just that one lad next to me's lost a carp. I'm watching the lads on the other bank, they haven't caught yet. So I'm just going to keep them pellets going in and just keep my eye out about what's happening. Well, I've just gone out to 35 metres and just had a really confident pull then. But then as soon as I pulled a hook in, it's just swam towards me. I'm not sure if it's a little stocky. It doesn't feel a massive fish. It's only been out there 3.5 minutes. There's nothing being caught. You know, it's really quiet. I haven't seen anything caught opposite. Feels like another small fish, a small carp or a stocky, this one. Stocky, that one. Just hooked in the middle of the bottom lip. Probably £1.75, something like that. I was just considering going on the pellet waggler, having an early look, but we've only been fishing 50 minutes. So I want to build that pellet waggler line up the best I can before I go on it, but it might be the best way to go today. just seen a couple of fish rising. First fish that I've seen all day. So it might be a sign that there's one or two now moving around in the upper layers, you know. There's still a ripple on it, as you can see. So I'm going to have at least a couple more casts on this at 35 metres before I have a look on that waggler line. Got some ducks lined up now on the pellet waggler line. So I'm sure they're going to enjoy those pellets going in. We've just got to keep firing them pellets in and keep on building that line up. Well, we've been fishing 1 hour now. I've got two stockies for about £4, which, you know, it's the most I've seen caught just here. So, you know, just quite in control at the moment. I'm still on that 35 metre line with the method feeder, but this is going to be my last cast on it unless I get a decent fish. I'm still feeding pellets onto that waggler line. The lad on my right's lost a fish. Gary on my left, I've seen him catch a couple of small fish on the pole. He's not had anything on the tip. The lad on my right is loose feeding pellets on that same line as me, and I think he's just had his first cast on the waggler on it. I've just seen on the other bank, a fish caught on the other bank on the waggler, but it's the lad on the end peg, which is over there. It's the only fish I've seen caught over there, but it was on the waggler. It just feels right for the waggler. I've only fed it for an hour, which means that it's only lunchtime, but it just feels right to have a look on it. So I'm just going to fish this out. If I don't get a decent fish on this time, I'm going to have a go on the waggler, and I've just really got a strong feeling that that's going to be the way to go today. Well, the sun's breaking through and that wind's dropped a little bit as well. Looks ideal for the waggler now, so I think it's time to have a look on that. I've just been fishing just over an hour. Just going to kick off with an 8mm pellet, exactly the same one that I'm actually loose feeding, and just take it from there. Nothing fancy, and you can see the depth that I've got it set at, which is that depth. I don't know what that is, probably 14 inch maybe. Make sure I've got that drag set. Some of the bites on here can be instant. Cast over the top of those. When I was fishing the feeder, it was obvious that there was quite a bit of tow on it, and I've heard the lads fishing the pole and the lads on the waggler over there saying that there's quite a bit of tow on it, so that's going to affect the way that we fish with the waggler today. But I'm hoping that any bites I get are going to be pretty much instant as soon as the waggler goes in. So that's the way I'm going to fish it. I'm just going to keep varying the feed. Sometimes I'll feed first and then cast, sometimes cast past and then bring the waggler back into it. Just a case of trying to find out if there is some sort of a pattern, but at the moment I'm just trying to get that first fish. Well, I've had about 50 quick casts out there with this, and literally I've just had my first bite. Came very quick as soon as the waggler went in. So hopefully that's a sign that one or two are there now, picking the odd pellet up. Well, I must have had 100 casts on that waggler, and I was just about to change to the bomb on that same line. Plenty of pellets had gone in. It just didn't feel right at all, but thankfully we've got one. I don't know what that'll weigh, probably £6 maybe. I think this is going to come good, this pellet waggler line, I'll be absolutely honest with you, but it just feels a little bit too early at the moment, but now I've got one, that might be a sign. I've had 2 other bites, but that was when the wind was really blowing strong, and I'll have to openly admit that my line wasn't quite as straight as what it should have been, and I've missed both bites. There's been a couple of fish caught on, well, a few fish caught opposite, so it sounds like the other bank's fishing much better. But Gary on my right, sorry, on my left, has had a bream on his short pole line and a little stocky, and that's it. The lad on my right, I haven't heard him catch anything, so I'm just going to keep plugging away with this. I'm sure it's going to get stronger. A little bit shallower now, only about a foot deep, that seems to be best. Like I said, I've had those 2 fast bites at that depth, and then I've just had that fish at that depth, so I'm just going to stick at that for now. But that waggler line's just not working. I mean, I've got 1 fish off it, which is great. You know, it's a 5-pounder maybe. So I've got 3 fish now. It is, we're just coming up to 2 hours now we've been fishing. And I've got £10 in the net. On this bank, that sounds alright, sounds pretty good. We've heard that there's 2 or 3 fish caught on that other bank. I don't know what size they are, if they're proper fish or not, I don't know. But I'm so confident that pellet waggler line is going to work, you know, to catch shallow. I spent a little bit longer on it than probably what I should have done. But anyway, it's still early. I've only been fishing 2 hours, so it's time for that to kick in. So what I'm going to do is, I saw fish rise, a carp about 3/4 of the way across. Which was good, because I haven't seen many fish rise. And then about 5 minutes ago, I saw one rise about halfway. So maybe that's a sign that there's 1 or 2 fish that are going to start moving about, and hopefully working their way over here as well. So all I'm going to do now is put a bomb over that loose fed pellet line, and just see if there's any fish, you know, down on the deck underneath all those pellets I've been putting in. All I've got on the band is an 8mm pellet, again exactly the same pellet as what I'm actually loose feeding, but loads of pellets have gone out there now, and because I've only had 3 bites on the pellet waggler, I find it very hard to believe that all those pellets have been picked off on the way down, so there's got to be quite a few down there on the deck. So I'm going to have a 10-minute cast on this, just to see if I can pick something up off the deck. Well, everywhere's dead at the minute, so I just decided to put an open method feeder on 20 gram and whack it to halfway. That's the only place I've seen any carp rising. It's been in 8 minutes with a wafter on again, and I've hooked one. Positive bite, but I think it's a skimmer. Well, there we go. First silver fish of the day. Not exactly the target species. Just hooked right in the middle of the bottom lip, as you can see. Lovely skimmer. It's one for the silver's net, but that's not good enough. I'm going to go back on that pellet line now with just a bomb and just see if we can get a carp on that line. I've just gone on the bomb on that loose fed pellet line, but for some reason I've just not been getting any indications whatsoever. So I decided to go back on this bomb line, just pour a cup of coffee out and just slow it all down. Not feed quite as frequently, just like you would do if you were just bomb fishing, but obviously I'm feeding it for a pellet waggler line along the top as well, for high up in the water. And with an 8mm pellet, it's been in 9 minutes and I've got one. Well, I've hooked one. It feels a decent fish as well. Hopefully that's a sign there's a few carp rocked up. On that short line, but to be honest, it's fishing that hard that we don't really need a manic spell, you know. You just got to. I mean, that went through some loads of rubbish. Look at all the rubbish on the line there. You haven't got to keep, you know, you haven't got to hope that you're going to have a real big golden spell, you know. When it's like this, sometimes it's just a case of just ticking over, catching the odd fish. That was probably £4. So, and they're small by this fishery standards. So I'm just going to go back on that line now. I mean, I know that there's odd people catching the odd skimmers and things, the odd bream, but I don't personally believe you can win with those fish on this venue. You need carp, so, and I've set my stall out for carp, so that's what I'm going to stick to. I'm just going to keep them pellets going in on this line, and obviously that gives me the option of putting the waggler over the top if I think the fish have gone shallow as well, or if there's any cruising through the peg. And that's my first ever fish at FLEETS Dam on the bomb and pellet. It's not something I normally fish, but on the odd occasion when I have tried it, I haven't caught on it, so that's a nice little confidence boost. Well, it's just coming up to 1 o'clock and it's not got much better, to be honest. I've now got 2 carp and 2 stockies for about £14. So, you know, ticking over. I think I should have had an extra, at least 1 more fish in that period, just to keep me up there, you know. But I've had 2 on the method, which were the little stockies. I've had a 5-pounder on the pellet waggler, and then I've just had a 4-pounder on the bomb. So I've caught on every method so far, but it is fishing really hard. Gary next to me's got a couple of bream, I think, and a little stocky. He's, you know, trying all sorts of different methods. I've just heard one of the lads has walked down, one of the lads just heard that the best down here on this bank is 4 carp, and I think he's got a couple of skimmers as well. I don't know what size the carp are. There might be, you know, the smaller end carp like what I've caught. But the key thing is, I've heard that he's had them on the bomb and pellet. So, you know, maybe I need to spend a bit more time on this. You know, I had 3 casts on it on my first visit. I didn't get any sort of indications, nothing. Went on the method long, had another quick go on the waggler, and then I've just come back onto the bomb line just to slow it all down. And on 9 minutes, I've just had a fish. So maybe there are some fish there to be caught, but I just need to be a bit more patient. So I'm going to give the bomb and pellet a little bit longer now. Just going to devote a bit of time to this. Keep them pellets going in, and obviously I can just pick up the waggler at any stage and cast the waggler over those pellets to see if there are any fish shallow. But if I can keep picking the odd fish off, then you know, you just want to try and stay in contention. But you know, when it's fishing hard like this, 2 big fish can transform everything. So I'm fishing for carp, so hopefully we're going to get a better spell going into the second half of the match. So frustrating. I've just invested quite a bit of time in my waggler line. I'm sure I could get a fish on it, and I've just hooked a fish on it, and it's run out of the peg, and I've pulled out of it. How about that for a scale? I think that's telling us it was foul hooked, but it shows you that the fish are up in the water and that they are big fish as well. I mean, look at the size of that for a scale. Really frustrating to lose one, but when they're foul hooked, I mean, what can you do? How about that? Proper fish, they're out there. So I'm just going to keep flogging it with this pellet waggler line just to see if I can just make something happen. Onto that inter-size open method feeder, just with a hard banded pellet, and that's been in about 8 minutes. it'll be interesting. I did get a big liner just before that as well, so I can only hope that that might signal that there's 1 or 2 milling about on that line now. There's loads of bait gone in, but obviously a big liner signals a fish, and then I've just had that one, so I'm hoping that 1 or 2 fish are going to start to show now on that line. But that one was probably about £5, I think. So let's get back out there. That's just at the back edge of those pellets, so we've just got to keep feeding. Well, I've had a couple more indications on this line where I'm loose feeding since that fish, and just put the feeder a little bit further past, just at the back edge of where the loose feed's going in, and I've hooked one. As soon as I hooked it though, it shot straight out into the middle. It seems to be coming back now, so taking anything that comes along at the moment. That's a good fish to get, that one. That was up right in the middle of the bottom lip as well. Like I said after the last fish, hopefully that's a sign that there's going to be 1 or 2 now milling about on that shorter line. But it's good that they're proper fish, you know. I mean, they're not big by this lake standards, but they're certainly bigger than the skimmers and the stockies that I've seen getting caught. So that's probably now put me on about £24, I think. And we've got about an hour and a quarter left, all to play for. Well, I've left the waggler alone for over an hour now. I've just been feeding pellets on it. Just decided to pick it up, and I've got a bite first cast and hook one. I've deliberately not cast on that line for over an hour now, just trying to build it up, and that was first cast on it. So that little bit of an investment looks like it's paid off for an extra fish. We've got 55 minutes left. The best I've heard just now is that 6 carp down to my left is best, but I don't know what size they are. So I'm just going to rotate between this line, or this pellet waggler, and the feeder on that same line again. Hopefully there might be 1 or 2 cruising around now in the upper layers. Well, there's 10 minutes left, and I've decided to spend this last 30 minutes on the pellet waggler, because I was sure it was worth another fish, and I've missed 2 bites. I can't believe it. Nothing there. But there's 10 minutes left. I'm hoping I haven't made a mistake. If I'd spent this last few minutes on the bomb or the feeder on that line, I might have nicked another fish. I was sure this was worth another fish. I can't believe I've missed 2 bites. You can sometimes get small fish and skimmers having a go at these pellets, but I've no idea what those were that I missed. But I'm really just trying to get 1 more fish now. There's about 9 minutes left, and I'll be very disappointed if I don't finish on a fish. The last we've heard is 6 carp is best. I find it very, very hard to believe that it's going to take less than £50 to win today. At the moment, I think I've got about 30. Oh, so frustrating that. I was sure it was worth one more fish on that waggler line, and I got 2 bites and I didn't connect with either one, so I might have made a mistake there. I might have been better just sticking on the feeder on that same line, because that might have been worth one fish, and usually on that you don't miss bites, the fish are on. So I thought it was worth one more, so I might have made a mistake there, but there we go. I think I've got about 30 pound, I think, which is good for this bit just here, but I don't really know what's happened elsewhere. 6 carp's the best that we've heard up there, and I think he's got some skimmers with it as well, so I find it very, very hard to believe that anything less than 50 pound is going to win it today, but we'll find out that after the weigh-in. So yeah, it's been a bitting and batting kind of day. You know, as you know, I've had a one on the bomb, one on a normal method. I've had a couple on the open feeder over the pellet line, and then I've had 2 carp on the pellet waggler, and I lost that big foul hooker as well. So it's been very much a random day, to be honest. I haven't spotted any patterns, and I thought it was going to get better towards the end. I thought the last hour we might have caught a few on any method, but that's not been the case. But you've got to go for carp on this place. You know, you're not going to win with bream and skimmers, not unless you have a fantastic day, purely because there's so many carp in here. So I'm going to get my kit packed away. I've got to race back to Sheffield, so I won't be hanging about tonight. But yeah, get my kit packed away, get weighed in, and I'll show you the results. I'll bring that one, the little skimmer in that one. Well, I clicked 30 pound, I've had 29.2. To be honest, where I've been, I'm quite pleased with that, really. The lad on the end, I think he's had 48 pounds, so I thought it'd take at least 50 pound, but the lad who had 6 that I heard of, he might have had more since then. He's had 48 pound, I think it is. And that end peg over there, we've heard he's caught some fish as well, and he might have caught some fish down the margin, I'm not sure. So 29.2. I've got to race back to Sheffield now, but it'll be interesting to see the full results. And you know, I said 10 fish was good with the target today. Usually they're 10 proper fish, but today 3 of the fish have been quite small, and we haven't had any of those doubles as well. There are so many double figure carp in here, but they're obviously not fed today, so it's been an interesting match. Well, it's definitely been one of those matches where, you know, just one bite can make a huge difference, but I haven't fished here for quite a long time, and it's been good to catch the carp where I've caught them. So hope you've enjoyed this live match. If you have, please give this video a thumbs up, and don't forget to hit subscribe, and I'll look forward to seeing you next week for the next upload.